I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, time for one of my quarterly market updates. This is a big one. This is for the end of spring 2019. Spring market tends to be our busiest market. So let me just give you guys a recap of where we are in this current market, what's selling, what isn't selling. Let's talk a little bit about stats, which just came out from the Vancouver Real Estate Board. I've got a lot of topics I want to cover. I'll probably forget a few, like I always do after I shut the camera off here. But let's give it a go. So we just received the May market statistics from the Vancouver Real Estate Board. And my disclaimer that I always say here is there is only one source to get the true market statistics on the Vancouver real estate market, and that is from the Vancouver Real Estate Board. You have to take some of these third-party statistics companies with a grain of salt because they can manipulate statistics however they want. The Vancouver Real Estate Board is the source. That's where everything on the MLS is bought and sold. So the numbers just came out, and hey, you know, they're definitely looking a fair bit better. April to May, the May numbers are 44% increase over April in sales. Now, that's to be expected. May tends to be our busiest month for real estate. April tends to be a pretty good month as well. June, I'm expecting this year to be pretty solid as well. But a 44% increase from the dismal numbers that were in April. But that is quite a big increase. Now, the other thing that sticks out to me here, and the one stat that I always tell people that I pay attention to, I'm not a big believer in a lot of these stats because, as I say, things like sales volume, how many homes sell, doesn't mean a whole lot to the average guy or girl. They're more interested in what prices are doing. Who really cares if sales volume dropped 10% this month over last month? It's really what are prices doing? That's really what the important thing is. But a stat that the best stat that will give you kind of a very vague but a general idea of where the market is going is the sales to active listings ratio. You take all the listings that come out in a day, how many units or how homes have been sold in that day, and it gives you a pretty good idea of where the market's at. Now, the active sales to listings ratio, just to give you a quick idea here, anything under 12. So for instance, if you got 100 homes and less than that are listed on the MLS today and less than 12 sell, that's considered a buyer's market. From 12 to 20 is considered balanced. Anything over 20 is considered a seller's market. So for detached homes, this is the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. So this is encompassing everything in Vancouver, Richmond, Burnaby, Port Coquitlam, Port Moody, Coquitlam, parts of Surrey, New Westminster. I probably missed out a few there, Delta, Ladner. Anything else further east is on the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. So this is the big one, the Vancouver Real Estate Board. Detached homes. Now again, this is taking everything into consideration. Luxury detached homes, starter level detached homes for the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. Sales to active listings ratio is improving. It's at 14.2 for detached homes. So that is in the low end of a balanced market. We are not in a buyer's market for detached homes. Now, just to get a little bit more clarity on this, I can tell you that this number is being skewed a bit to the upside for good starter level homes. So these would be priced under $1.3 million in places like Richmond or Burnaby. This would be good Vancouver specials in East Vancouver with one or two mortgage helpers down, priced under 1.5 or 1.6. That market is still quite strong. It's good. If it's a good house, it's going to sell fairly quickly and pretty close to full asking price if it's priced correctly. What is slow, so that is bringing these sales to active listings ratio up a little bit. What isn't selling, of course, is the luxury detached homes. Homes on the west side of Vancouver, homes in West Vancouver, luxury homes in West Richmond, priced over $3 or $4 million. That market is still hurting, and that market, if you break it down to homes over $3 million, would probably have a sales to active listings ratio of below 10. So it is a buyer's market for that. But overall, 14.2, which is the low end of a balanced market for detached. Now, if we go into townhomes, it's sitting at 20 right now, and that's an improvement from a couple of months ago. We are now just at the top of a balanced market, slightly favoring sellers on townhomes. And in the condo market now, we're now up to 21.2. 21.2 for condos. So we are in a seller's market for condos. I know that's going to be a shock to some people that think that this market's in free fall and it's in crash mode, when I've been saying all along, it's not. If you want to buy a luxury home, $3, $4, $5 million home, or a luxury condo in Cole Harbour for $5 million, that is a tough market to be in. Nothing really is selling, prices are off, days on market are huge. But if we broke this condo market down, which is on the low end of a seller's market at 21.2, if we were to break that down a little further to good quality one-bedroom units, let's say in downtown or Mount Pleasant or Kitsilano or Fairview or Canby, good stratas, good location, priced under $675, I can tell you that that sales to active listing ratio is probably up close to 30. So it's still a seller's market for those. And again, I know this is going to come as a shock to people. It's a tale of two markets right now, contrary to what the media would have you believe. You see, the media, and I have to chuckle at this, and I've been talking about this many times, they love to point to the luxury detached market like that's the entire market. You got guys on Twitter that are cherry picking this stuff. They definitely have biases. They're angry, they're frustrated, and I can understand their anger and frustration with some of these guys. I don't know their story. I don't really want to know their story. But obviously they've made some bad life choices throughout, and they feel now, that they're angry that where the prices have gone. So what they do is they cherry pick data like that's the whole market. They'll talk about a West Vancouver home that was listed 2 years ago for $9 million and just sold for $6. $3 million off their original asking price. Well, what they don't go on to tell you is that $9 million price 2 years ago was ridiculous. It was only worth $7 at that time. So that is such a small portion of the market. The market is basically strata. 1 bedrooms, 1 and dens, 2 bedrooms, that makes up a huge, huge percentage of the market. That is the market. Not many people buying $5 and $6 million homes. That market's in a world of hurt still. 1 bedroom condos, 2 bedroom condos in downtown Vancouver is a healthy, high balance market, or in some cases, still favoring the seller here. Give you a couple of examples here. May was a busy month for me. I actually had a couple of multiple offer situations. But the interesting thing happened with these multiple offers, and give you some sidetrack here a little bit. I had a condo priced under $550K, ended up with 4 offers on it. Now, the funny thing is that when you get 4 offers, if this was a year ago, I can tell you that at least 1 or 2 of those offers would have been over asking price. But what I'm seeing now is I'm still getting some multiple offers. But it's like there's a glass ceiling there. They just won't go over asking price. And I can understand that with this market sentiment. We've had a long bull run. People just are not going to get into a bidding war and pay over asking, and I can understand it. That never would have happened a year and a half ago. If I got 4 or 5 or 6 offers, well, first off, I wouldn't have gotten 3 or 4. On this type of property, I would have probably gotten 8. And I can tell you half of them would have been over asking. I also had a couple of detached sales in May. One of which I got into multiple offers as well. Sold very close to full asking, but both offers were just under asking price. It's like there's a glass barrier there. And I saw this back in 2013 as well. When you get the kind of market we've got now, we're not getting into the crazy bidding wars. It's more of a balanced market. It's tough to get those bidding wars going where they're starting to put offers way over asking. And that's the big difference now to what it was a year ago. Not much is selling for multiple offers anymore. Buyers definitely have more time on their side. And when you are getting a prime detached house or a really good condo listed, you're creating interest and you're going to get maybe 2 or 3 offers. The thing is, though, you're not going to be getting the 40 or 50K over asking. Now, the condo market, I know it comes as a surprise to people, but again, the overall condo market is slightly favoring sellers right now. And I know that's going to come as a surprise to people, but I've been saying this all along. Now, this spike up in May, maybe the market's playing possum. It could. Let's see what happens later this summer. We could see a drop again in sales, and active sales to listings ratio might drop. As we head into the summer market, I can tell you, once we get into July and August, homes that aren't selling, you're going to start to see homes getting terminated and expired. And I'm in that boat now. I'm holding 8 or 9 listings right now. I'm moving product every single week, but I've got some homes that are a little bit sluggish, some detached homes, some condos. I think realtors will be having a sit down with a lot of their sellers come July. If you're not desperate to sell, and that's the one thing in this market too, I'm seeing very little to none as far as desperation or panic selling, none. Contrary again to what the media might tell you when they tell you about that home that was listed for $8 million and ended up selling for $5. The $8 million price was ridiculous, and they're probably still making money at $5. But I will be sitting down with some of my listings, some of my clients, and probably taking it off the market come July. And you will see that quite a bit. You're going to see terminated listings, ones that aren't selling. If you have to sell, keep it on. Pricing is so important in this market right now. You've got to be priced right. If you are, you're going to get interest, especially in the condo market. But for some of those ones that are maybe trying to fish for a higher price, maybe they don't necessarily need to sell, they're not under the gun, they don't have to move, then you'll start to see some of those listings come down in July and August. We always do. Market slows, realtors go on vacation, I take breaks, I'm not around, realtors make deals happen. But pricing is going to be vitally important. So again, it is a tale of two markets right now. The condo market, the strata market for the most part is at the upper end of balanced, or even in some cases for the good 1-bedroom units, the good 1 and dens or 2 bedrooms in good stratas, it's actually still favoring the seller a little bit here. And I know that'll come as a surprise. Now, I still see goofy stuff on the MLS. Is there stuff that's way hideously overpriced? Of course there is. I'm always on the lookout. I'm always working with investor clients. There's a number of listings that came out here in the last couple of weeks in buildings that I like, but the units are overpriced. And I don't blame people. Some of them are trying to get a price that maybe, they were trying to get a year ago. What I will tell you is the good 1-bedroom condos right now downtown, and even the good 2s, as far as pricing goes, they're probably selling at about 95% a peak. You can look it up, have your realtor send you some recent sales. Most of the stuff I'm selling right now is maybe off 5 or 6% from the peak price that we were getting 15 months ago. The big difference now is, though, and the reason why I'm getting 5-6% off than what the peak was, is I'm not getting those crazy bidding wars. You need to get 3-4 offers to get it up over asking to get those peak prices, and we're not really getting that right now. But I still see stuff that's on the market, it's overpriced. Some of them you got to keep an eye on, let them come down a little bit, and then move on them. I also see, and I've talked about this so many times, still a lot of sellers making some dumb mistakes, selling properties that are tenanted. There's a unit that I just saw this morning, prime unit, I like it, it's in a building I want to buy something in for one of my clients as an investor. Priced a little high, I can overlook that, I'll give it a little time, let them, give them a month, maybe they'll reduce it a little bit into our strike price. But it's got a tenant. Agent's remarks, tenant's paying $19.50 a month. Good long-term tenant wants to stay. Of course the tenant wants to stay. He's been there 4 years, 3.5 years. He's paying $400 below what that unit is worth on the open market. So the seller, of course, unbeknownst to them, they're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table because they've eliminated 40%, maybe even 50% of the buyers here. Investor buyers are not going to buy this guy's unit. They can't, because with the new tenancy laws, they have to assume this guy's tenant at $350 below market rent, and they'll never be able to raise it up to anywhere near what they should get. Again, what these sellers should be doing, hire a listing pro, hire someone who's going to consult you on this stuff to get you maximum selling price. Get the tenant out. There are all kinds of legal ways that we can use to get your tenant out. It's called a mutual agreement to end tenancy. It's going to cost you a few dollars, but I will get back 10 or 15,000 or 20,000 back on your selling price, because now I'm opening it up to the full demographic of buyers. Principal residence buyers, and by the way, they'll have to wait up to 3 months before they can get possession if you've got a tenant, 2 clear months. And it'll open up to investors, but investors are not going to go near that unit. They don't want to assume your tenant. Get the tenant out, sell it vacant, easy to show, looks better, and get maximum price. So This continues to plague a lot of sellers, and you need to be aware of that. The final thing I'll say, again, just to reiterate what I've already talked about, is how resilient the condo market is right now. And it really is a tale of two markets. Prices are off 5 or 6% at most. Some of the real good units, the real gems that I like to go after for some of my principal residence buyers or my investors, these are selling very close to what top price was for 15 months ago. Again, the only difference is we're not having to generally get into a crazy bidding war. Might get competition, but it might just be one other party. So it's a resilient market, not seeing much in the way of panic at all. As a matter of fact, I saw more in 2013. Now that could change. I'm just giving you guys the picture of where the market is right now as of June 2019. And based on the latest stats from the Real Estate Board, sales are up from April, but that's to be expected. Maybe playing possum, we'll see. I'll keep you posted later this summer. Inventory, it's okay. It's been slowly creeping up. It's definitely above our 10-year average. But what I would say on that, like I've always said, is there's a lot of dogs out there for sale. You want to buy a dog unit, you can choose from hundreds of those. The real good ones, the real good 1 and 2 bedrooms and townhomes and detached homes, they're not a dime a dozen. It's a waiting game on pretty much all of them. And if you follow it, you see a good one, it's not going to last long. It's going to sell in a couple of weeks. So in a synopsis right now, again, a lot of it is favoring sellers still slightly, but overall I would say it's a healthy, balanced market, which I'm enjoying. The crazy run we've had for the last 4 years, as I've been saying all along, won't last. We're taking a bit of a breather now. Healthy, balanced market. What is hurting though, and what the media loves to talk about, it's crazy, these guys. There's a guy on Twitter that, just offhand here, that he just posts these detached homes on the west side of Vancouver and West Vancouver and other areas in Richmond and etc. These are $3, $4, $5, $6 million homes that start at some ridiculous price back in 2017. It was dumb, and they've kind of chased the market down. And they're taking haircuts of $1 million or $1.5 million or $2 million off their original list price. But their original list price was dumb. It doesn't mean anything. And if you really look into it, which I don't really do, but most of these sellers are still making a pile of money on that house. But the luxury detached market and the luxury condo market is a totally different game. It's a rare buyer, and that market continues to favor buyers. So if you're looking for a luxury home or a luxury condo, $3, $4, $5 million, there's some good deals to be had. But if you want a one good, simple one-bedroom condo as an investment unit, it's going to be a little bit of a waiting game for me to find that for you. And when we do, we've got to pounce on it quick. And they're probably going to sell pretty close to full ask within a week to 10 days. That's just the way it is. No biases here. I'm just telling you guys the straight goods. So be careful of who you're listening to here, who's painting this, trying to manipulate this data and where the market's at. Pretty healthy market right now. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.